Defense is not a glamorized skill, obviously. And unless you're sending someone's shot to the third row or making someone touch earth by crossing them up, nobody really, or you're touching earth because somebody crossed you up, nobody really pays attention to defense that much, which is a detriment to a lot of defensive players. But most of these players aren't big names outside of a few. But I do think that they obviously deserve to be all defensive players. So my all defensive second team is Jalen Suggs, Lou Dort, Jaden McDaniels, Bam Adebayo, and Chet Holmgren. It kind of goes back to what I just said about Chet Holmgren as far as he is a super rookie, to say the least. He was one of the best defenders in the league as far as rim protecting. Now, obviously, when you have someone as tall and as lanky as he is, you'd be like, well, duh, of course he's, of course he's one of the best defenders. But it's his awareness. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that rookies have to get over is the speed of the game. The speed is definitely unlike anything that they've seen, and because obviously there's a talent level, but there's also a speed level from the NBA or from college to the NBA, and Chet Holmgren has been great. He's been to be on the same defensive list as Bam Adebayo, Jaden McDaniels, who a lot of people think is one of the best on-ball defenders, and I think Lou Dort has probably put himself in that category, that probably most underrated players as far as defense. You never really hear his name when we talk about Defensive Player of the Year, when we talk about all defensive teams. But hell, he may not even be on the official all defensive teams. But I think Lou Dort is a very important cog, not only to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but to how defense is played in the NBA. And a lot of mainstream men are talking about him, but I think Lou Dort is good enough to be on my all defensive second team. Then you have Jalen Suggs. The Magic is probably the best kept secret this year. Obviously, they're in the playoffs, but a lot of people are confused as to how they got to the playoffs. Yes, you have Paolo Banchero. Yes, you have Franz Wagner, like a very good team. But the defense that Jalen Suggs provides to this team is irreplaceable. And the fact that I think he's only in his third year is incredible. So my all defensive second team is Jalen Suggs, Lou Dort, Jaden McDaniels, Bam Adebayo, and Chet Holmgren. Then you have the first team. Again, these names are a little more household, at least a few of them. I have Alex Caruso, Herb Jones, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, and Rudy Gobert. The one thing that I hate about voting or the voting for these awards and everything is, I feel like when the media and when people have their sight set on somebody, it sticks with them. Like there's really nothing you can do. Now, I will say this. It's looking like Rudy Gobert is going to win his fourth Defensive Player of the Year award, and I think that he would be, I could be wrong, but I think he's the first player to ever win four. He would be the first player to ever win four. If he does win it, which is looking like it's a foregone conclusion, then congratulations to him. He has been one of the best defenders, whether we talk about, rim protecting. He's obviously been one of the best rim protectors, and just his defensive pressure for a team, or his defensive presence for a team that definitely needs it, especially when you see how Karl Anthony Towns, who isn't the best defender, but Karl Anthony Towns has been out most of the year due to an injury. But my frustration comes when you look at what Anthony Davis has done. We just talked about, stigmas and once you get a stigma on you like Zion William has, and once you get that title on you, it's very hard to get it off. That's what Shouts out to I think it was Theo Pinson's podcast. Raymond Felton was on it, and he was talking about how difficult it is to overcome labels and overcome stigmas that are put on you, and rightfully so. I mean, we know the labels and stigma that was put on Raymond Felton as far as his weight and his inconsistency. Now, it was funny that he was talking about that, and it clearly looked like he was overweight, but he is also not playing. So he's living life. He's doing what he wants to do. Shouts out to him. North Carolina product. One of the best North Carolina players that they've ever had, by the way. Yeah, But I want to shout out Anthony Davis because the stigma obviously with him is he continues to get hurt. And when he does get hurt, that means he usually misses a bunch of games. Anthony Davis, I don't even think he's missed 10 games this year. Anthony Davis, I think, has played well in the 70s as far as games played. And I know it's fun to talk about, as unfortunate to him, it's funny to talk about, street clothes, this, that, and the third. But Anthony Davis has been an extreme consistent this year for the LA Lakers. And on top of that, you've seen how important he is on the defensive side of the ball again. I think that's one of the reasons why we say when healthy, Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the league, because not only can he be a driving force for your team offensively, but he can also be the best defensive player on your team and a defensive anchor for your team. And when you look at my All-NBA first team, Alex Caruso is by far the best defender on the Chicago Bulls, and a team that has absolutely no business. Even if they do make the playoffs, shouts out to them. If they don't, this team had no business in even being in the play-in. They're below 500. You had Lonzo out again. He hasn't played since 2022, I don't believe. When you have Zach LaVine being out, this team had no business being in the play-in. But you had consistent play from Alex Caruso, especially defensively. Herb Jones is Herb Jones. I mean, he is the best defensive player for the Pelicans, a team that, again, I don't know if they won or not, but a team that there really wasn't many expectations for this team because of the injury history that their best players have sustained. But Herb Jones has been great. He's been one of the best all-ball defenders. I think he is amongst the league leaders in deflections as far as steals. Herb Jones is great. We just talked about Anthony Davis. Victor Wembanyama, man. Like, when you talk about prospects and you talk about, the hype that comes after, it was very hard. How do I put this into perspective? When you're touted as high of a prospect, when you have the expectations that Victor Wembanyama had coming into the season, mind you, remember, and I don't know if you guys remember, but there's been a few players in my lifetime that has had the same or close to the same hype coming into the league. LeBron James, I'll probably say Ben Simmons, and Victor Wembanyama. Now there was and Zion Williamson. Those four. I don't think there's been another player that had the same amount of buzz coming out of either college or high school or overseas. When we talk about Victor Wembanyama, they were projected to be league changers. There's when you're a draft or lottery pick, especially number one, you're expected to be a franchise player. But these players had potentially greatest of all time tags attached to them. Now, we know what LeBron James turned into. Like, LeBron, probably the GOAT. Uh, we also know what Ben Simmons turned into. Very high potential. We're not going to go down that Ben Simmons road, but, as well as Zion Williamson. We know his height, but, But Victor Wembanyama, there was a lot of people that saying that he could possibly be better. He could be a better prospect than LeBron James was. And I'm not saying that he was. I didn't go back and look at LeBron James rookie year, but what I'm saying is Victor Wembanyama, you can argue that he is a top 10 player right now. There is no argument that he is one of the best players under 25. There is no argument that, moving forward, he will, barring injury, knock on wood, there's no argument that Victor Wembanyama will not be one of the best players in the league, like, moving forward. But when we talk about where he is today, he is not only one of the best players, he's one of the best defenders, and he's good enough to. There's a reason why I think he's probably going to finish second in Defensive Player of the Year, and that's even over Anthony Davis, who has been great this year. All the man. So look, my all NBA or all defensive team, first team is Alex Caruso, Herb Jones, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, and Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, he's probably going to win his fourth Defensive Player of the Year award. Shouts out to him. Victor's probably going to finish second. Anthony Davis probably going to finish third. And the defensive pressure and the defensive presence that Alex Caruso and Herb Jones brings is second to none, outside of obviously the other three that's on my first team. So that's my all defensive team. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.